Welcome to the, I'm out of sync here, so bear with me a second. Welcome to the work session. I don't even know the date today. Is it October 6th?
Yes.
5th.
October 5th, 2020. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America,
for
and
which
to
it
the
stands,
republic for which it stands,
which is
one nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with liberty
and
justice
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 for all.
for all.
All right, Grace, please proceed with roll call.
Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Restinetti,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns, Councilman Strawn,
Present.
President Scanlon.
Present.
That's 6 here, 1 absent. Burns.
Okay, is Chief Zukoski there? Someone represent.
I think Lieutenant Bidwell is.
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, Lieutenant Bidwell, please tell us about RL 20-198, please.
Yep, it's a Parks grant from OJP, a Jack Byrne grant. It's for $25,855. It's for police overtime in the parks, and then also a small portion of it, 3% of that goes to Nancy Nesserlode, who works in records, towards her salary.
Okay, I have a question, Lieutenant. What parks would I saw in the RL it was 3 different parks. Which parks are they?
Yes,
you know?
it's Rec Park, Columbus, and Sherry Lindsay.
Okay, great. Thank you. Other questions or comments on this?
Yes, this is Councilwoman Friedman.
Yes, Councilwoman, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Hi, Lieutenant Bidwell. Thank you for presenting this RL to us. I was just wondering if this is something that is not covered within the normal salaries of the police officers that we have on staff. Is that correct?
Nope, this is a federal grant for like community policing, just to get officers outside in the parks, walking around, talking with community members.
Okay. And that's not something that our police officers are normally encouraged to do?
I would say they were absolutely encouraged to do it. It's a lot of times it just comes down to manpower and time permitting. If you look at our shifts right now, there's overtime and comp time going out on all the shifts as it is. So it's very hard to get to it if this isn't something that's dedicated to it.
Okay, so these are police officers that are on the force, but they're being paid overtime. So outside of their shift, they're able to go into the parks and talk to people and get to know the constituents. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, it's normally like during the summertime when the pool's in. It's normally and it normally runs in the summertime when the parks are at its busiest. It normally running from on the weekdays 4 in the evening till 9:30 at night until the parks are closed. And then sometimes on the weekends, it'll go longer. Sometimes it'll go, depending on what's going on in the park, if there's any events going on, it could be 1 to 9:30, but it's at the discretion of the chief to determine what the hours are.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is, I'm wondering if we have any quantitative data to show, like, do we know that this program, what the effects of this program are? For example, does this lead to a reduction of crime in the parks, or does this lead to officers having more positive relationships with people in the community? Like, do we have any data surrounding this grant? Because I believe this is something that we apply for and receive every year, right?
Yeah, it's, at least since I've been in crime prevention, we've gotten it every year, yes. And to my knowledge, there's never been a study done on this grant and the effects of it.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Yes.
Other questions on RL 20-198?
Yes, Council President, this is Councilwoman Riley.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Hi again, Lieutenant Bidwell. Thank you for coming. I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am. Fire
Uh,
away.
Do we have cameras in the parks at this time?
At this time, there are no cameras in the park.
Okay, so this grant, was it written to support salaries, or could it be used, because it is reimbursable? Could it be used for supporting infrastructure and possibly cameras?
Nope, this is strictly, so this grant was written for approximately 560 hours of overtime. It is strictly an overtime grant. Besides what, of course, is 3% is funded towards Nancy Nesterlode's salary because of the records work with NIBRS.
Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions regarding RL 20-198?
Mr. President,
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief Bidwell.
Mr. President,
Gotcha.
Yes, hold on. Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Scaringi. Go ahead.
thanks. Lieutenant Bidwell?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Gio. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good to hear. Thanks for presenting this evening. I just want to double make sure, because I know we voted on this obviously in the past. The overtime for, the pedestrian walking, so to speak, for officers in the park, this grant
Yep.
supplements that, correct? Because our officers, whether it be on bike patrol or whether it be walking, in the park or through neighborhoods on Clinton Street, downtown, these are general things that our officers in the BPD do already, notwithstanding this grant. Is that correct?
Yeah. So if you like in the summertime, you're going to see officers who are on bike patrol. We have 2 dedicated downtown officers whose hours will fluctuate in the nicer weather time, where you'll see them
Right.
biking downtown. You'll see them biking around the 209, the 200, 201, 202, 207. So you'll see them biking around the city. You'll also see manpower permitting. You'll also see officers walking downtown, or you'll see officers who, even on the west side, if there is manpower for it, you'll see them walking. You might see them on Main Street, on North Street. This is just a dedicated grant just to have officers walking in the parks during peak times.
Correct, and I appreciate that. I just because I've seen them, whether it be foot walking, whether it be, I've even seen bike patrol, Clinton Street, Riverside Drive. Yep. I just wanted to make sure that it's understood and that there's no implicit assumption that if we didn't have this grant, this type of community policing would not be being done, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. It would be staffed to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Thank you, Lieutenant Bidwell.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too. All right, let's move on.
Joe's trying to talk, but I think he's muted.
Oh, Joe is? Can somebody text Joe? If they can. Because Lieutenant Bidwell's gone now. All right, let's move on to RL 20-197. Pat McGinnis, please, if he's there.
I'm here. How are you?
Good, Pat, go ahead.
Right, so we received another $1,000 from the United States Tennis Association to purchase more tennis equipment for our youth program.
You gotta talk.
Questions or comments? I'm sorry, Pat, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Sorry, can you hear me better?
I can hear you now. I hear you good, yes.
All right, we received another $1,000 from the United States Tennis Association to purchase equipment for our youth programs.
Questions or comments on RL 20-197? All right, Pat, thank you. That's a good grant for the youth of the city to help out with equipment there. So no questions on that. We'll move on. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
RL 20-199, Ms. Brackett, if you're there.
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So this is another offer to purchase a vacant lot through the city side lot program. This is the site of a former property that had a fire back in 2016, I believe. The offer to purchase, the purchase price of $300 is the fair market value. And just full disclosure, for those of you who don't know Jake, who is the applicant here, he's a city employee in the Parks Department. We sent out letters to all the adjacent property owners to see if there was any interest, and Jake's was the only one we received.
Thank you, Megan. Is there questions on RL 20-199?
Yes, this is Councilman Friedman.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Hi,
go ahead.
Councilwoman.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Okay, so my question is that in the letter from Jake, I think there was a little contingency that he's interested in purchasing the property if the garbage inside the garage is able to be cleaned at no cost to him. And I was wondering if that is part of the, if we can acquiesce or if we are going to acquiesce to that request.
Yes, that's right. So we took care of that already since it is a city-owned lot. Once he brought that to our attention, I believe it was DPW that went and was able to clean up the garbage there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Other questions on 199? Thank you, Megan. Let's move on to 20-196. Chuck Shager, if you're out there.
I'm here, President Scanlon. This is a resolution to move money from a principal line to an interest line last year when we did the refunding of this bond. Just like this year, we don't know what the amounts are. When I budgeted, I put more money in principal than I should have and less in interest. This is just squaring that away.
Questions or comments on 20-196?
Chuck, can I
Thank
just
you, Mr.
throw
Shea.
in here? It's from water and sewer, correct? It's not just sewer?
Yes, there's two of them, water and sewer. There's actually a third one too. That's with the finance director, Phil, for I think it was either ramps or refuse. I can't remember which one, for less than $10,000. But you are correct, Ken.
I think the RL just said sewer. When they were given to me, I said you could really combine them because they're all going to pay the same fees.
Yeah, we actually had two different RLs that you said we can combine the water and sewer into one.
Okay, is there other questions on 196? Thank you, Mr. Shager. Let's move on to RL 20-200, Ms. Brockett again.
Yes. So this is for the demolition of a fire damaged property, 34 Burr Avenue, suffered a fire back in May. The building inspector subsequently sent out a letter to the property owner declaring the building to be an imminent threat. So this is for demo of that building.
Questions or comments on RL 20-200?
Yes, this is Councilwoman Friedman.
Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to clarify that this is the same process as the other property that we are looking at, where it's an insurance reimbursement for a privately owned property that's being demolished with city-owned funds. Is that correct? Or privately owned property being demolished with city funds. Is that correct?
Is it the Gaylord Street property you're referring to?
Yeah, I
No.
believe that. Oh, it's
This,
not
this
on
one's
Gaylord?
Bur-
I'm sorry, I don't have
34
the.
Bur-
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, the property that I'm referring to, I apologize, I don't have the address off the top of my head, but it's the one that came up in the last work session and we're voting on Wednesday. I just wanted to clarify, just again, because I'm still learning about the different processes, I just wanted to clarify that this was the same sort of situation where it's a privately owned property that's being demolished with city funds, and so therefore we need to authorize the refunding of the insurance money. Am I understanding that correctly?
It's not just insurance. It's hopeful that we can collect the money from the owner. Right? We can put a lien on the property, but the property is not worth the value of the lien. So we try to collect it from the owner or the insurance company if there is one. But the important thing is to remove the dangerous condition.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Other comments or questions? RL 20-200.
Yes, Council President, this is Councilwoman Riley.
Sure, Councilwoman, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Ken, can I follow up with another question then, based upon what you just shared?
Excuse me, Councilwoman Riley, I planned on addressing this at the end of this meeting because 12 Gaylord is a property in my district. I was going to talk about that for a second because it was brought up
About this one.
on how on how things are done. So I will share with you what was done. So if you're all right with this RL 20-200, let's move on. Then we can ask Ken questions at the end of this if you're all right with that.
Well, it's kind of about both. It is about both.
Okay, go ahead. All right, go ahead then. Go ahead.
Okay, so ultimately, does the city become the owner of the land after the demolition? Do we assume right? Or is it still the land, the property owner's land as well?
It's still the property owner's land.
Okay.
We can then foreclose on the lien, or generally the county forecloses on taxes, because if the property is in this condition, they're usually not paying the taxes. But again, every one of these is really site specific.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on RL 20-200? Thank you, Ms. Brockett.
Thank you.
Grace, can you read pending legislation, please?
Yes, so for pending legislation, we have RL 20-181, amending the 2020 capital fund budget to close grant lines that are no longer active, and RL 20-195, amending the 2020 budget to pay for the demolition of 12 Gaylord Street.
Thank you, Grace. So let's go back to 12 Gaylord if I could here, and we can talk about other things here in a minute, whichever we want to discuss. But so 12 Gaylord, as I told you, last meeting was last work session was a property in my district that's I've been trying to help this woman for 3 years to get demolished. This is a property that there was numerous code violations, and it came to the point where the second floor, it's a two-story building, the second floor, the roof fell into the second floor, and the garage is leaning over into the neighbor's property where the garage looks like it's going to fall over. It's a concrete garage. So this is a property that is dangerous to the neighborhood, meaning the thing could, it's in such disrepair, it could fall down tomorrow, into the street. So that's why this came about for this to get demolished, because it just was based on the condition of the property. So I didn't have any magic wands here. I just kept working and pushing the code enforcement people. And then it came to the point where it got poor shape that needs to be torn down. So that's exactly what's going on in this property here. There was no, I don't have any more education than you to it than anybody else at the city council, except this is what I went through this property. So I just want to clarify that. So I hope we can vote on this Wednesday and get this done. And then I'll push for a contractor to get hired and we can get this thing demolished. So I will be sitting there with the woman next door when the thing place gets demolished. Like I said, because she's been waiting 3+ years for this to happen. Anybody else got anything else to discuss before we adjourn the meeting?
Council President, this is.
Did everybody see the?
Um,
We're going to talk
Council-
about the calendar. No, talk about that more. There's plenty of time on the calendar. I'm still looking at that. I haven't released that to everybody, so we will get the calendar out. We can look at that. There's plenty of time to go over that. We'll wait till after the budget before we bring that up. And unless everybody's got anything else they want to discuss, we'll adjourn the meeting.
Councilwoman Riley has a question.
Thank you. Hi, Council President. This is Angela Riley again. We received correspondence about the process for the budget hearings. Will we be receiving more information and a tentative schedule for the hearing?
Yeah, that I believe the schedule's going. Grace, correct me on this. I believe the schedule's going out tomorrow. Is that correct for the budget? hearing?
I believe so. I'll just have to check with Lee. We've been working on one, and it hasn't been sent around, but we will get that out to you as soon as we have that figured out.
But this will be a draft, right? Since we've not.
No, it's a schedule. It's a schedule, Angel. It's a condensed time period we have to do the budget in. This is a set schedule, which obviously we'll make sure there's a quorum there, but we don't have a lot of time on this process to get this done, and Ken can speak to that. So this is not going to be it's not going to be a draft. It's going to be a schedule, and you'll see that tomorrow. I'll get on Lee. I'll get Lee to send it out tomorrow, so you see it tomorrow.
Just from my understanding, are they typically in the evenings?
They're
Yes.
after 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they
So
typically start at like 5:15.
Yeah, I believe they're 5:15 to give everybody a chance to get out of work and get down there. It is a condensed schedule because of the time frame we're under, but I'm hoping we can, power through this thing. And it's a new budget for a lot of people on city council. For 5 of you, but obviously Councilwoman Resinetti has seen this before, but for the rest of you, it's a new process. But we'll get through it. Like I said, a condensed schedule though.
Can you hear
Anybody
me now?
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, it's Joe Burns. Thank you, Mr. President. Apologize everybody for being late and that my microphone wasn't working when I was trying to talk there before. Anyway, because I wasn't here in the beginning, I know that the mayor is giving his address tomorrow. How does that concern us? I mean, it concerns us obviously, but where do we have to be a certain place?
He's doing that, as far as I understand, he's doing it via Zoom. So it's a virtual meeting. You don't have to be anywhere, Joe. You can certainly tune into the meeting and follow the meeting like I will do.
Right.
I'm not sure
usually a city
exactly what
council
to do
meeting,
that
though,
from.
is it in the city council chambers?
He won't do it there, no. No.
Historically,
I
though,
highly doubt.
historically,
Yes, Councilman, you're correct. In the past, there's no requirement to actually do it at a formal meeting, but historically, the mayors usually do a budget address in council chambers.
okay, so this will not be a city council meeting. It'll just be his address via Zoom. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
This is
Other
Councilwoman
questions or comments?
Yes, Councilwoman Riley again. When will we obtain our copy of the budget?
On Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean,
it is submitted not simultaneous with, but basically after the mayor does his presentation, it is submitted. I'll talk to Usually Lori and I are sitting with 2 boxes underneath our chairs. And when the presentation's over, we hand them out to council. I don't know if we're going to do it digitally. I don't know if Lee's going to run them over to your houses, but some way we'll get them to you tomorrow, or if you're not available tomorrow, on Wednesday morning.
Thank you.
Other
This is
questions or
Councilman
comments?
Friedman.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. I was wondering if the budget hearings will be available digitally, or we have to be there in person for those.
No, they're going to be like these.
Okay,
It-
so
it's-
we could participate remotely if
yes,
that makes
no,
us
they're
feel
gonna
more comfortable.
continue to be remotely for the time being. That's my understanding, is that they will be remote
Okay.
for the time being.
Yeah,
All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be available remotely, obviously, because everything going on. So, any other questions or comments on
Yeah.
the city?
One more thing about tomorrow's
Sure.
address. So where is the mayor giving it from, you know? And
Hey, Joe, this is Jared. The
Hey,
mayor will
Jared.
be broadcasting it from the mayor's conference room. We've got a setup up there. So we'll have a link either tonight or sometime tomorrow, which Grace can send along, and we'll have it on the city website and publicize it as well. It'll be through GoToMeeting, just like these.
awesome. All right, thank you, Jared.
Other questions or comments from city council?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. President.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned.